What if everything you believe about life and death is a carefully crafted illusion, a deception so deeply ingrained that it has kept you powerless for centuries, while secret societies and billion-dollar labs bury the truth? But ancient wisdom and groundbreaking discoveries in quantum physics are beginning to tear down this illusion. By the time you reach the end of this revelation, your reality may never be the same again. This knowledge has been hidden, suppressed, and guarded with desperate intensity. Why? Because it is the key to unlocking your true purpose, the secret to understanding the nature of existence itself. But be warned, once you see the truth, there is no going back. Are you ready? Imagine time not as a straight line, but as an endless ocean. Every moment, past, present, and future, coexists in this vast, boundless sea. Sounds impossible, right? But this is exactly what quantum physics suggests about the nature of time. We live our lives believing in an orderly sequence: birth, growth, and an inevitable end. It seems logical, simple even. But what if that structure is nothing more than a grand illusion? What if time isn't linear, but a wild, interconnected web where everything happens all at once? Quantum physics defies everything we take for granted. It reveals a universe where particles can exist in two places simultaneously, where the future can influence the past, and where time itself bends and twists in ways we struggle to comprehend. Scientists have conducted experiments proving that a particle's behavior in the present can change based on what happens to it in the future. Let that sink in. Your actions today may already be shaped by an event that hasn't even occurred yet. How is this possible? Because time, as we know it, doesn't flow in a single direction. Then there's the eerie phenomenon of quantum entanglement, where particles separated by vast distances communicate instantly, defying the very limits of space and time. It suggests that everything in existence is connected, bound together in a reality where time has no boundaries. If this is true, then what does it mean for birth and death? Could they be nothing more than transitional phases in an endless cycle of existence? If time isn't a straight path, then maybe life and death aren't the absolute barriers we've been led to believe. Perhaps they are more like doorways, shifts in awareness, rather than the beginning and end of our story. What if your consciousness, your very essence, exists across multiple realities at once, threading through past, present, and future simultaneously? What if, with the right knowledge and discipline, you could tap into the wisdom of your future self, or recall experiences from lives you don't even remember having? This is the first crack in the illusion that life and death are fixed points. It's a glimpse into something far greater, something ancient mystics and modern quantum physicists are only beginning to understand. You're not confined to the years between birth and death. You're a part of something vast, something timeless. But if that's the case, how does this knowledge change the way we perceive our lives? How does it redefine our place in the universe? These are the questions that pull us deeper into the hidden truths of existence. This isn't just abstract theory. It's a new way of seeing yourself and your journey. It's about unlocking a power that has been kept from you. Are you ready to break through the illusion? Consider this. Why do some children possess knowledge they couldn't possibly have learned in this lifetime? What if the answer isn't just imagination, but something far more profound? Some of the most mind-bending research in modern science suggests that reincarnation isn't just a spiritual belief. It may be a tangible, provable phenomenon. Take the case of a 2-year-old boy who began having nightmares of being shot down in a warplane. He described details about World War II aircraft that no toddler should know. His parents, skeptical at first, were astounded when historical records matched his claims exactly. This isn't an isolated incident. Dr. Ian Stevenson, a respected psychiatrist, studied over 2,500 cases of children who claimed to remember past lives. But he didn't just take their word for it. He verified their accounts through meticulous research, uncovering astonishing evidence that defied all logic. One child recognized people from a past life they had never met. Another led researchers to the exact spot where their former body had been buried, details that could not have been fabricated. And then there's the phenomenon of birthmarks. Marks on a child's body that eerily correspond to wounds from a past life they described. If even a fraction of this is true, what does it mean for our understanding of life, death, and who we really are? If we accept the possibility of past lives, then we must also question whether death is truly the end. Perhaps it is not an abyss, but a doorway, one that some have learned to walk through consciously. Throughout history, secret teachings and mystical traditions have hinted at a deeper knowledge, one that suggests we do not simply stumble from one life to the next, but can actually shape our incarnations with intention. What if the most powerful individuals in history have known this secret all along? Some ancient schools of thought claim that initiates could consciously choose their next incarnation, selecting the time, place, and even genetic traits of their next life. If this is true, then death isn't just an event. It is an opportunity, a chance to rewrite your story, to evolve, to ascend. But what happens in those moments when we stand at the threshold of life and death? Thousands of people who have had near-death experiences describe the same things. A sense of leaving their body, seeing a brilliant light, feeling an overwhelming peace, and encountering loved ones who have passed before them. Skeptics argue that these are just hallucinations caused by the brain shutting down, but here's where it gets interesting. The details of these experiences are strikingly similar across cultures, across religions, across time. Meet Rachel. She was in a devastating car crash, her body on the brink of death. As doctors fought to save her, she felt herself floating above her body, watching the chaos unfold below. A radiant light pulled her forward, and she saw her grandmother, who had passed away years ago, waiting for her, smiling. The overwhelming sense of love and peace was unlike anything she had ever known. When she woke up, she was forever changed. These experiences raise profound questions. Could it be that death is not the end, but a transition to another state of being? Could it be that what we call the afterlife is just another phase of existence? Some researchers believe that these near-death experiences may provide glimpses into the true nature of consciousness, hints that our awareness does not simply vanish when our body ceases to function. But if consciousness can exist beyond the body, where does it go? And more importantly, can we learn to control it? If consciousness exists beyond the body, then the implications are staggering. What if your awareness isn't confined to your brain at all? What if your mind is not simply a product of neurons firing, but something much more profound, something that extends beyond physical form, beyond time itself? For years, scientists have struggled with what they call the hard problem of consciousness. How do physical brain cells create thoughts, emotions, and self-awareness? The truth is, they still don't know. But some researchers have begun turning to quantum physics for answers. And what they've found is beyond mind-bending. One groundbreaking theory suggests that consciousness isn't generated by the brain, but is instead a fundamental part of the universe itself, like gravity or electromagnetism. Your mind, your thoughts, your awareness might not be trapped in your skull, but connected to something infinitely larger. Consider the famous double-slit experiment. Scientists found that when they observed quantum particles, the mere act of looking changed the way those particles behaved. It was as if consciousness itself influenced reality at the smallest level. If your mind can affect the quantum world just by observing it, what does that say about the power of your consciousness? Could it mean that reality itself bends to the will of your awareness? Some whistleblowers claim that secret research projects have explored this very question. If consciousness isn't just a byproduct of the brain, but something greater, then it could theoretically exist outside of space and time. That would mean your mind isn't bound by your body, and perhaps not even by death. This brings us to something extraordinary, the phenomenon of remote viewing. During the Cold War, intelligence agencies secretly trained individuals to see distant locations using only their minds. These experiments yielded shocking results. Remote viewers were able to describe hidden military bases, classified documents, and even events happening thousands of miles away, all without ever leaving their rooms. If remote viewing is real, then it means your mind has the ability to transcend physical space. Now, take this one step further. If your consciousness can exist beyond your body while you're alive, what happens when you die? Could it mean that death is nothing more than a transition into another state of awareness? This idea isn't just found in modern science. Ancient cultures have spoken of it for thousands of years. The Tibetan Book of the Dead describes detailed processes that occur as consciousness separates from the body. Monks trained in these teachings claim that death is not an end, but a transition, one that can be navigated consciously. Some of these monks have even demonstrated something called the rainbow body phenomenon, where their physical bodies begin to shrink and dissolve into pure light at the moment of death, leaving behind nothing but hair and nails. Modern neuroscience has started to take an interest in these claims. There have been documented cases of advanced meditators entering states where brain activity ceases, yet they remain aware, their consciousness persisting beyond what science considers possible. If these cases hold any truth, then death isn't just a moment of loss. It may be a gateway to something far greater. But what if death isn't the only way to explore these other states of consciousness? What if you could experience them while still alive? There are people, scientists, shamans, monks, who claim to have found ways to access these altered states, ways to shift their awareness beyond the physical world. Some use deep meditation. Others employ powerful psychedelic compounds like DMT, which indigenous cultures have used for centuries in sacred ceremonies. Those who undergo these experiences often report the same thing. They leave their bodies, enter vast realms of existence, and return with knowledge that changes them forever. Imagine being able to tap into an infinite field of consciousness, a space beyond time where the past, present, and future exist simultaneously. Some researchers believe that this is exactly what happens when people experience déjà vu, precognition, or past life memories. And speaking of past lives, the evidence continues to grow. More and more, people are coming forward with inexplicable memories. Memories of places they've never been, people they've never met, and skills they've never learned. Some children, from the moment they can talk, begin describing events from lives that ended decades ago. One case involved a boy who recalled being a pilot in World War II. He named his aircraft, the details of his missions, and even his former squadron members, information that was later verified in historical records. Another boy, living in India, correctly identified his previous family and described exactly how he had died. His former family was found and every detail checked out. Skeptics argue that these are just coincidences or tricks of the mind. But how do you explain cases where people suddenly develop talents they've never studied? How do you explain someone who has never played an instrument picking up a violin and instinctively knowing how to play it? There is a theory, one so radical that it has been buried for centuries, that human consciousness is not limited to one lifetime, that we are eternal beings experiencing existence through a series of incarnations, and that some people, whether by accident or design, manage to tap into knowledge from past lives. This idea has been guarded in secret teachings for centuries. Certain mystery schools and esoteric traditions claim that through specific rituals and meditations, a person can recover lost knowledge from previous incarnations. Imagine being able to access skills, wisdom, and insights from lives you've long forgotten. Imagine learning to consciously choose your next life, shaping your destiny beyond a single lifetime. But what if some people already know how to do this? What if powerful individuals have been using these secrets for centuries to maintain control, passing knowledge from one life to the next, while the rest of the world remains in the dark? History is full of strange coincidences, world leaders with eerie similarities to figures from the past, dynasties that rise and fall in cycles, patterns that repeat again and again. Could it be that some people have learned to remember while the rest of us are forced to forget? And that brings us to the most important question of all. If this knowledge has been hidden, why? What is so dangerous about the truth that it must be suppressed? Perhaps it is because the greatest secret of all is this: you're not bound by time, you're not bound by death, you're not a powerless being trapped in a fleeting existence. You are eternal. And once you awaken to that truth, you become unstoppable. The illusion of death begins to crumble, and with it, the systems built to control you. You begin to see the world for what it truly is, not a prison, but a playground, not an ending, but a new beginning. But there is still one final mystery left to uncover. If consciousness continues beyond the body, if life and death are just transitions, then where do we go next? And more importantly, can we learn to control the journey? If consciousness truly exists beyond the body, if life and death are mere transitions, then the biggest question remains: where do we go next? And can we learn to control this journey? Ancient civilizations, secretive mystical orders, and even classified scientific research all seem to suggest that death is not an end, but a transformation. But transformation into what? Some believe that when we die, our consciousness moves into higher realms of existence, dimensions that exist beyond the limits of our physical reality. Others propose that we reincarnate, returning to the physical world again and again, learning, evolving, and carrying fragments of past lives into each new one. But what if we had a choice? What if death was not something that simply happened to us, but something we could navigate, like a lucid dream? There are stories, accounts from people who claim to have done just that. Take the case of Tibetan monks who spend their lives preparing for the moment of death. Their sacred texts describe detailed maps of the afterlife, guiding consciousness through different realms. Some monks are said to have such mastery over their own awareness that they can consciously direct where they will be reborn, choosing their next life with precision. In modern times, near-death experiences provide strikingly similar accounts. People who have been clinically dead for minutes or even hours report entering vast, luminous spaces, meeting beings of light, and even receiving choices: return to life or move on to something else. Some describe experiencing entire life reviews, where they not only see their past actions, but feel the effects of those actions as if they were the people they had impacted. This brings us to a question that shakes the very foundation of our beliefs. What if we are accountable for every thought, every action, not in some distant afterlife, but in a continuous loop of existence? What if the lives we lead now are shaped by the lives we lived before, and the choices we make today carve the path for what comes next? This is the concept of karma, not as a punishment, but as an intricate system of cause and effect. Imagine that every decision you make, every act of kindness or cruelty, is an investment in your future lives. If this is true, then life is not random, not meaningless, but a carefully woven tapestry of choices that extend far beyond what we can see. And here's where things get even more fascinating. Some believe that not only do we carry our experiences from past lives, but we also have access to a hidden record of all human knowledge, the Akashic Records. Imagine a vast cosmic library where every thought, every emotion, every event that has ever occurred is stored. Mystics and spiritual seekers have claimed for centuries that these records can be accessed through deep meditation, trance states, or even spontaneously in dreams. Some who claim to have accessed the Akashic Records report receiving information that they had no way of knowing, details about ancient civilizations, solutions to complex problems, even glimpses into possible futures. But what if this isn't just spiritual myth? What if there is something scientific behind it? Modern theories about the holographic nature of the universe suggest that all information in existence may be encoded at the quantum level. Some physicists propose that reality itself is a vast information field, where every event, past and future, is stored. If this is true, then it may not be so far-fetched to believe that some people have learned how to tune in to this cosmic database, accessing knowledge beyond the limits of time and space. But if we can access the past, if we can glimpse the future, then what does this say about free will? Do we truly shape our own destinies? Or are we simply following a script that has already been written? Here's where things get even more unsettling. Some researchers claim that time is not only non-linear but malleable, that the choices we make today can alter not just the future, but the past. Experiments in quantum physics have shown that particles can be influenced retroactively, that what happens in the present can change what occurred in the past. Now, imagine if this applied to consciousness itself. What if, through focused intent and awareness, we could rewrite our own pasts, healing old wounds, altering events, even changing the course of our lives in ways we never thought possible. This concept isn't new. Ancient spiritual traditions have long spoken of the power of intention, the ability to reshape reality through focused thought and energy. Today, modern science is beginning to catch up, exploring how the mind can influence matter, how visualization can impact physical healing, and how deep states of meditation can alter brain function in ways we're only beginning to understand. But here's where it gets even more mysterious. There are stories, some buried in secret archives, others whispered by those who claim to have witnessed them, of people who have mastered this ability to such an extent that they can move between lives consciously. Certain secret societies and initiatory traditions have long believed in the possibility of retaining full memory from one life to the next. Some claim that elite groups have harnessed this knowledge, using it to maintain power across generations. If true, this would mean that history itself has been shaped not just by the rise and fall of civilizations, but by individuals who have lived multiple lifetimes, guiding events from behind the scenes. But why would this knowledge be hidden? Why would it be suppressed? Perhaps because the most dangerous thing in the world is not wealth, not power, but self-awareness. A society that understands the true nature of consciousness, that understands that death is not the end, is a society that cannot be controlled. Think about it. If people truly knew that they were eternal beings, if they understood that their thoughts and actions shaped not only this life, but all lives to come, would they still conform to systems built on fear? Would they still be easily manipulated? Or would they rise above? This is the knowledge that has been hidden, buried, kept out of reach for centuries. But now, the cracks in the illusion are beginning to show. Quantum physics, neuroscience, and ancient wisdom are converging, pointing to a truth so powerful it could shake the foundations of everything we believe. And that truth is this: you are not just a body. You are not just a fleeting moment in time. You are consciousness itself, eternal, boundless, capable of far more than you have ever been told. And once you realize this, once you awaken to your true nature, everything changes. The fear of death vanishes. The limits imposed upon you by society, by belief systems, by history itself disintegrate. You begin to see reality for what it truly is, an infinite, ever-unfolding journey of discovery, growth, and transformation. And with that knowledge comes the most profound realization of all. You are not just living a life. You are shaping existence itself. If you are truly shaping existence itself, then the question is, how much control do you really have? Are you merely a passenger in this vast cosmic cycle? Or can you learn to navigate it with purpose? For centuries, secret traditions have whispered of those who mastered the art of conscious reincarnation, of individuals who not only remembered past lives, but carried their wisdom and power forward into new existences. These teachings were hidden, locked away from the masses for one simple reason: true awareness makes you uncontrollable. Imagine if you could break free from the cycle of amnesia that comes with each new life. Imagine if you could recall the lessons, the connections, and the knowledge from every existence you've ever lived. Some say this is exactly what certain ancient initiates were trained to do. They were not bound by death. They moved through it with awareness, selecting their next incarnations with precision, aligning themselves with key events in history, shaping the world from behind the scenes. And this isn't just an ancient belief. Some of the world's most brilliant thinkers, philosophers, and leaders have spoken about the eerie feeling of having lived before. Déjà vu, unexplained talents, sudden instincts. Could these be remnants of past selves slipping through the cracks of forgetfulness? The implications are staggering. If death is not the end, if consciousness moves from one body to another, then the true nature of existence is far more complex than we've been led to believe. But it doesn't stop there. If some have learned to carry knowledge across lifetimes, what else might they have discovered? Consider this. What if your thoughts, your emotions, your very intentions shape not only your future, but the fabric of reality itself? Science is beginning to confirm what ancient mystics have known for millennia, that consciousness is not passive, but creative. Your mind does not simply observe reality, it influences it. This is where we enter the realm of manifestation, the idea that what you focus on becomes real. It may sound like fantasy, but consider the famous double-slit experiment again, where particles behave differently depending on whether or not they are being observed. Observation changes reality at the quantum level. If that is true, then what does that mean for your daily life? Some believe this is the hidden power behind prayer, intention, and ritual. It is not the words themselves that hold power, but the focused energy behind them. Could it be that reality itself is responding to your thoughts in ways you never imagined? Now, take this idea even further. If consciousness can shape the quantum world, then what happens when large groups of people focus their thoughts in the same direction? Studies on collective consciousness have shown that major world events, wars, disasters, global moments of unity, can create measurable effects on random number generators. It's as if human emotions can influence the very fabric of reality. This idea isn't new. Ancient civilizations built entire societies around it. The Great Pyramids, sacred temples, vast stone circles, all aligned to harness the natural energy of the earth, designed to amplify human intention. But what if this knowledge was lost? Or worse, what if it was deliberately hidden? History is full of sudden disappearances, entire civilizations vanishing without a trace, advanced knowledge mysteriously wiped from existence. What if those who understood the true power of consciousness were silenced? What if the greatest secret of all is that reality itself is a canvas, and we are the painters? Now, imagine what this means for death. If consciousness creates reality, then where do we go when we die? Do we simply fade into nothingness? Or do we shape what comes next? Some who have had near-death experiences report entering realms that respond to their thoughts, landscapes that shift based on emotion and intention. They describe environments of pure light, places where thoughts instantly manifest into form. If these accounts are true, then what we experience after death may not be a fixed destination, but something fluid, something we create. And if that is the case, then what about those who are prepared? What about those who enter death with full awareness, with a clear mind, with the understanding that they are not stepping into an abyss, but into a new world of their own making? This is what the Tibetan Book of the Dead teaches. It is not simply a religious text. It is an instruction manual for navigating the afterlife. It describes, in vivid detail, the experiences of consciousness after leaving the body, the different realms one might encounter, and the methods for achieving liberation instead of being pulled back into another cycle of rebirth. The ancient Egyptians had a similar text, the Book of the Dead. But what if it wasn't about death at all? What if it was about mastering the transition between worlds, about moving through the afterlife with awareness? Some scholars now believe that the texts were not just religious doctrines, but advanced metaphysical blueprints, guides for those who sought to maintain control over their journey beyond the physical realm. But what if this isn't just an ancient practice? What if some people today are still using these methods, passing them down in secret, ensuring that they retain their knowledge and power across lifetimes? What if the world's elite have been using these techniques all along, keeping the masses ignorant of their own potential? Think about the way modern society treats death. It is something to be feared, avoided, hidden away. We are taught that life is short, that we must struggle and suffer, that we must submit to systems of control. But what if that fear is the very thing that keeps us trapped? What if the secret to breaking free is to face death not with fear, but with understanding? Imagine a world where every person knew with certainty that they were an eternal being, that their consciousness was not bound to one life, but infinite, evolving, learning, growing across dimensions. Would they still be afraid? Would they still be easy to manipulate? Or would they rise up, reclaim their power, and refuse to be controlled? The illusion is cracking. The truth is emerging. Death is not the end. It never was. You are not a fragile, temporary being. You are something far greater, something timeless, something unstoppable. And now you are beginning to remember. But the journey is not over. There is one final mystery to uncover, one last secret that ties everything together. If consciousness survives death, if reality is shaped by thought, then what comes next? And more importantly, how can you take control of it? If consciousness survives death, if reality bends to thought and intention, then what happens next? What lies beyond the veil of the physical world? For centuries, mystics, monks, and secret societies have whispered of realms beyond this one, dimensions where consciousness roams free, unshackled by time and space. But these are not mere stories. If the mind can exist beyond the body, if thoughts can shape reality itself, then the afterlife is not just a mystery. It is something we can learn to navigate. But what if we've been here before? What if we are not moving toward some unknown future, but returning to something we have forgotten? Throughout history, people have reported strange, unexplainable memories of places they've never seen, of knowledge they never learned, of emotions that do not belong to them. Some call it déjà vu. Others call it past life memory. But what if it is something more? The evidence is startling. Across cultures and continents, children have spoken of lives they once lived, recalling names, faces, even places that no longer exist. These cases have been investigated, studied, verified. A boy in India remembers his previous death and leads researchers to the house he once lived in. A child in America describes details of a war he could never have studied. A woman in England speaks a dead language in her sleep, one she never learned. These are not anomalies. They are fragments of a greater truth, one that has been hidden in plain sight. Reincarnation is not just a belief. It is a cycle, an ancient mechanism shaping human history. It explains why legends repeat, why civilizations rise and fall, and why certain individuals seem to return, influencing events as if they've been here before. Some say those who master this cycle, who remember, return with full awareness, shaping humanity's path across lifetimes. But what if others have suppressed this knowledge, keeping the masses blind while a select few retain control? This could explain why modern society distances us from death, teaching us to fear it rather than understand it. But ancient wisdom speaks differently. Death is not an end. It is a doorway to something greater. Near-death experiences provide a glimpse into this mystery. People who have clinically died and returned describe the same journey, a departure from the body, a tunnel of light, a realm of indescribable peace. Some experience pure joy, while others find themselves in a realm of confusion, regret, or unfinished business. But here's what changes everything. Many who return say they were given a choice. Death, then, is not a fixed moment, but a transition that can be shaped, influenced, and navigated. And that means one thing: we must prepare. If the afterlife is shaped by thought, if consciousness creates reality, then your state of mind at the moment of death could determine everything. This is why ancient traditions treated death as an art, a discipline to be mastered. The Tibetan monks guide the soul through transition with awareness. The Egyptians mapped the afterlife with meticulous precision. Shamans, mystics, and seekers across time have all spoken of the same truth. To die consciously is to awaken fully, but what happens to those unprepared? Some say they become trapped, lost in illusions of their own making, unaware that they have passed. Some traditions call this the bardo, the in-between. Others call it limbo, purgatory, the shadow realm. And then there is the question of reincarnation. If souls return, who or what determines where and how they are reborn? Is it karma, the cosmic balance of cause and effect? Or do we choose our next lives, selecting experiences that will help us evolve? And here is where it takes an even stranger turn. There are whispers, hints from ancient texts, forbidden manuscripts, and classified research that suggest reincarnation is not just a cycle, but a system. What if, just as people are born into different social classes in life, souls are reborn into specific roles in the grand design of existence? Some mystics claim that powerful individuals have learned how to manipulate the reincarnation cycle, ensuring that they and their bloodlines return to positions of influence again and again. Others suggest that some souls are kept unaware of their true nature, recycled through lifetimes of struggle, while others ascend, carrying knowledge forward. If true, then reincarnation is not just a spiritual phenomenon, it is a mechanism of control. But what if we could break free? If you knew that life was not a single journey but an ongoing story, would you live differently? If you understood that your choices now shape not just this existence but countless ones to come, would you be more intentional? Would you choose love over fear? Would you seek knowledge? This is the greatest secret, the one hidden, buried, erased from history. You are not powerless. You were never meant to forget who you are. And now you stand at the threshold of remembering. The question is, will you step forward? Because the truth has been waiting, and now it's yours.